this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
I turned off news altogether.
I hate to say it, but I don't trust much of anything.
It's the rage bait.
It feels like it's trying to divide people.
If we got clear facts, maybe we can calm down a little.
NBC News brings you clear reporting. Let's meet at the facts. Let's move forward from there. NBC News, reporting for America.
In business, there's no room for guesswork. Every shipment matters. Every deadline counts. When you're trying to keep operations running smoothly, the last thing you need is uncertainty. That's why reliability is at the core of USPS Ground Advantage. Each package moves through a secure, nationwide network tracked from dock to door with affordable, upfront pricing and delivery you can depend on. Because knowing your logistics are handled lets you focus on everything else. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to start shipping with confidence. USPS Ground Advantage.
With my mom and dad living in Orange County, when we bring my 5- and 7-year-old to visit, we are sometimes in for a 2-hour drive that could feel like 10.
Oh, as an avid camper, I know all about this. We'll pack up the RV and know this is either going to be the trip of a lifetime or a complete disaster.
Which is why we load up the iPads with Lingo Kids before we even pull out of the driveway.
It's what dreams are made of. Lingo Kids keeps kids engaged and quiet with over 4,000 interactive games, songs, and shows that kids simply cannot get enough of.
You can pack whatever you think you'll need, but Lingo Kids is the only entertainment you'll need for a stress-free car ride.
Or really, any ride. Plane, train, hovercraft, whatever.
Download Lingo Kids for free today.
Or unlock even more amazing content with Lingo Kids Plus.
Choose the yearly plan and save up to 60%. Search Lingo Kids in the App Store or Google Play.
Lingo Kids, everything kids love.
Welcome to Stuff You Should Know, a production of iHeartRadio.
Hey, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Josh, and there's Chuck, and Jerry's here too, and it's a Stuff You Should Know hoedown to start the new year. Chuck's still wearing his novelty 2026 glasses that he got, sponsored by Nivea, that I believe what you were saying was Ryan Seacrest himself handed them to you while you were at Times Square, right?
No, not handed. He put them on my face with his hands.
Whoa. Is it because you guys are coworkers?
Yeah, he's with iHeart, isn't he?
Yeah, but I think like half of the U.S. is a coworker of his. He's got so many jobs.
Yeah, you're probably right. Well, if you haven't guessed, listening audience, this is our first recording of the new year.
Yes.
I'm probably going to be a little rusty. And can I just give a quick shout out to a couple of things?
Yeah, please do.
Great. As well, Josh knows all this stuff because we communicate outside of work, believe it or not, because we're friends. But I went to, New York City. Emily and I do our little Broadway weekend in New York over Christmas every year. And this year, I just want to say thanks to a couple of people, most notably Natasha Hodgson of Operation Mincemeat fame, because she is in the show and put together the show and Stuff You Should Know. And she's been in magazines as people alerted us as giving Stuff You Should Know credit as our episode inspiring that show. And was kind enough to give us a couple of tickets to go see it. And it was fantastic. I highly recommend it.
I know. I was loath to miss it. That sucked.
I wish you could have been there, but it's still playing, so maybe you can check it out.
Yeah. I was especially upset when you said that she she came out into the audience in the middle of the show and gave you like a bouquet of roses.
No. There was
and the audience lifted you up on their shoulders.
No, that didn't happen. Also went to Bar Centrale, as I like to do before Broadway.
What is that?
Bar Centrale is where I go before Broadway shows.
Well, what is it?
It's a bar, but it's sort of you can just make reservations a week out. I think I've mentioned this before. It's sort of a secret place in that it doesn't have a sign or it's not widely
those are cool.
Publicized. But, 7 days out from when you want to go, you can call them up. They specialize in getting people in and out of there pre and post Broadway. And, sometimes you can see Broadway performers there on the down low.
Nice. I would have no idea that one could be sitting next to me and I wouldn't even know.
Well, you might if it's a famous, like Bryan Cranston was sitting there.
He was?
No,
Oh.
but he could be. I saw years ago. I saw Dexter in there. What's his name?
Dexter's good enough.
Yeah. This year I saw the lady from Lost. Although I don't think she's on Broadway, she was in there. But all this to say, big thanks to Jason, who helps take care of Bar Centrale, and Joe's on Broadway. He came over on his night off just to say hi and was just a total sweetheart of a guy.
What a trip.
And then finally, I want to thank Santa Claus. In the Radio City Music Hall show. I surprised Emily by going to the Christmas show this year for the first time.
Cool. Yeah, I remember Santa wrote in.
Santa wrote in, and although he was not in the performance we went to, Santa, Adam, was very kind to send a Christmas video to Ruby. Have you been to the show?
No, I'm just some bumpkin who stays at home all the time, apparently.
Dude, you and Yumi have to go to the Radio City Music or Christmas Spectacular. It is one of the delights of my life. The Rockettes was one of the most impressive, most amazing live shows of any kind I've ever seen. They were incredible.
Wow. Okay, I'll go.
Yeah, and it's you guys love your Christmas cheer, and it really you can't even the biggest Grinchy curmudgeon wouldn't help but get in the mood. Even at the 10 a.m. show. But the Rockettes were amazing, and Santa said that he turned them on to our listener mail and the Rockettes episode, and some of the now current Rockettes are listening.
Oh, cool.
So a shout out to you, Rockettes. Keep on kicking.
Hello, Rockettes. We did a whole show on the Rockettes, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah. All right. That was amazing, Chuck.
You were sick over the holidays, and it felt terrible.
It really stunk. I got this cold that apparently there's like a 2-week cold going around.
Oh no, that long.
And it was just like every day I would add a new symptom, and I could do stuff during the day, but I was just sick the whole time.
Dude,
and I'm
so sorry.
It was rough. Yeah. So thanks for that. I appreciate it. But we still had a great Christmas.
Well, that's
Momo
good.
knows how to open presents. So she opened presents on Christmas morning. She was so happy.
Paws or teeth?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, she's a pro. She knows what she's doing. She got some new rabbit treats, so she laid on her back and rolled on those, and she had a great Christmas morning. So
that's wonderful.
It was a good Christmas after all. We hung out with friends on Christmas Eve, and our friends Laurel and Braden, and their kids Elliot and Bear.
I know those guys,
we got to hang out with. Yeah, you do. You've met them plenty of times. So we got to hang out with little kids on Christmas Eve, and man, that will put you in the Christmas spirit when you don't have kids of your own.
Yeah. How old are those kids?
They're like 8 and 6, I think. So
yeah.
like
that's fun.
Prime age.
Yeah, right in the zone.
Yeah. So thank you though for your sympathy over my sicknesses.
Yeah, I felt bad.
One thing I don't have, Chuck, which I am really happy I don't have because it's awful, is sad.
No sads for you?
I don't have sad. Do you have sad?
No, I don't have sad. We're talking about seasonal affective disorder, and just right off the bat, we should point out, because I was about to say, occasionally I get the winter blues. This is not that. This is a real, it's legitimate depression and comorbid with stuff like bipolar disorder, and we're going to talk all about it. But it's not just, I get a little blue in the winter sometimes when it's, gloomy.
No, but it's tied to that.
Yes.
It's just, it seems to be an extreme version of that. But you're right. It's nothing light. It's classified, I believe, in the DSM as a major depressive disorder with a seasonal pattern. I think that's the clinical name for seasonal affective disorder. And there are people out there, I think something like 5% of people, I believe that's an American statistic.
Yeah, that's America.
Get the like real deal seasonal affective disorder where they have major depressive symptoms during the winter months. But something like 10% or maybe even higher than that in the United States, people get what's called subsyndromal seasonal affective disorder. So where you don't have it, where it could be considered major depression, but it's definitely worse than the holiday blues. And the weird thing about this, although it's not so weird once we explain it, it is seasonal. It's tied to winter. And it seems that or summer, which that one's just mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
Yeah. It seems like they have it figured out. They have it explained. So this is one of my fave episodes where it's like, here's how the human body works. Here's what's messed up with this when we're talking about this. Ta-da. I love episodes like that.
Yeah, not a lot of mystery. Big thanks to Livia for getting the new year off to a great start with another banger.
Yeah, here.
Yeah, we should say that this is something that hasn't been officially, I mean, it's obviously been around since, time began because, as we'll see, it's tied to seasons and especially light and how much light you're getting. So that's always been a thing. But it hasn't been officially diagnosed as a thing for that long. It was in 1984 when there was a paper by researchers at the National Institutes of Health, particularly a guy named Norman Rosenthal, got together and they discussed these almost 30. I have a feeling one dropped out because there were 29 patients. Most of them had bipolar disorder, and they all had what we now know is as SAD.
Yeah. That 30th one, when they, 1 week in, they're like, how do you feel? And they were like, fine. And they're like, you're cut.
You can go
Get
home.
out of here.
Yeah.
So yeah, bipolar disorder, as we'll see, really kind of ties into this. It seems to be also seasonal in some weird way too. But pretty quickly after that 1984 paper, the DSM went all in. Three years later, the DSM-3R, as we all know, R stands for revised or rockin'. That came out in 1987, and it was now it was a diagnosis, but it was used as a modifier, as we saw, major depressive disorder with a seasonal pattern.
Yeah.
So it wasn't its own thing. It was just a subtype, essentially, of an existing depressive disorder. That's kind of how they first had it.
Yeah, and, because it's seasonal, the most common kind of SAD that we think about, and like we mentioned, it is a very serious thing, and it starts off in the fall, maybe early winter, and it kind of depends on where you are, as we'll see, although not always intuitively. There's a third act reveal that might surprise some people. It generally subsides in the spring, but I did mention that odd spring and summer variety, that hasn't been studied much. It's very, very limited. About 0.5% of the population has this opposite pattern. But it is a diagnosable mood disruption. It just happens in the spring and summer, and it's tied more to sort of oppressive heat, and maybe unsurprisingly, some of the things they recommend for that, which again, we're going to cover a little more later, is stuff like maybe stay inside, dim the lights, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And the thing that gets me about the summer version, that much rarer one, is that the symptoms are almost, in some cases, opposite the symptoms of winter. So usually when you first start getting SAD, it's around young adulthood, ages 18 to 30, I think. And most people who get it most years, but you don't necessarily have it every year. Women are 4 times likelier than men to have it. And if you have an existing mood disorder, you're much likelier to suffer from seasonal affective disorder, because it's almost like it takes your existing mood disorder, say bipolar 2, and just builds on it. There's an extra environmental punch to it that really kind of kicks it into high gear.
Yeah, and that 4 times more common in women, that's really substantial. And we'll get into that. It seems to be tied to estrogen, but we'll dig into that a little bit more in a bit. But having family members, they think there's some genetic component to it. If you have relatives that have depression or any kind of mental health disorder, it's, obviously it doesn't mean you will, but that could mean you might. I guess that's the way doctors say it.
Yeah, you might got it.
And not surprisingly, you're more likely to develop SAD if you live in places in the far, away from the equator, far north or south, where there's going to be less sunlight, or maybe, in places like Seattle where there's just more gray days than others.
Yeah, I was surprised. I couldn't find the first 8, but Seattle was the 9th most affected city with seasonal affective disorder. I would have thought it'd be higher than that. I could not find the first 8. So I'm like, does this list really exist? Or was this just like a post-intelligence or made-up article?
And do they tie in things like, or do they list things like Tacoma? Like neighboring towns? Does that count as a different place, I wonder?
That's a great question. What about Tacoma?
Well, I just wondered. Tacoma's very lovely, but maybe Seattle might be a little more lively.
Yeah, no,
Am I going to get in trouble?
No, everybody knows about Tacoma.
Okay. Okay.
It's been a long time since we picked on a particular city.
Oh, I don't want to put Tacoma in our sights.
Okay, we won't.
Because you can't spell SeaTac without tack.
That's right. So what happens when you experience SAD, seasonal affective disorder? I mean, most people can kind of come up with this idea of like what depression symptoms seem like, but there's specific ones that emerge with seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah, I think, generally what you will see, like with most depression, listlessness, obviously sadness, interest in activities that you might normally like, you don't like as much. You may have a hard time concentrating, suicidal thoughts if it gets really bad, hopelessness, maybe guilt sometimes, and then some physical symptoms like just a weight, like in your limbs sometimes.
Yeah, like a lethargy, a fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
And those, that's kind of common among depression in general, but winter SAD has some extra symptoms like oversleeping or just sleeping too much or more than you normally would, craving carbs, overeating, weight gain, and then that fatigue, the low energy and tiredness. And all of those things too create like a feedback loop where, if you're depressed and you start gaining weight and that kind of thing bothers you, you're going to be even more depressed because you just started gaining weight, in which case, if you're an emotional eater, you might go eat more carbs and gain more weight. And it just kind of goes on. So that's one of the difficult things about it is it's not just like I'm depressed. I'm depressed and now everything is set up because of this winter season for me to just keep getting more and more depressed while winter's going on.
Yeah. And if you're sitting there thinking like, oh man, like in the wintertime, I tend to sleep later and I tend to eat and maybe drink a little more and gain some weight and I'm a little more tired. Those are also, that's why SAD is such a sort of a unique thing because that also just describes a lot of people in the winter. But there is a difference and, we're going to be pointing out those differences. You mentioned summer was unusual because the summer SADs, because it's very much opposite. And that goes for the symptoms as well, because instead of sleeping in, you might have trouble sleeping. Instead of eating too much, you might have a low appetite. You might lose weight. You might be anxious and agitated and irritable. Headaches is another one for summer SAD.
Yeah, it's like winter SAD, you go inward and are kind of closed off. And with summer SAD, you go outward, but it's not in any, like, that doesn't mean you're just more sociable. It means like you're more aggro potentially than you would be with like winter SAD. So yeah, it is. They're just kind of opposites. And yet they tie into, like you were saying, how people already are. Like you go out more in the summertime. You stay in more in the wintertime. So what seems to be the case with seasonal affective disorder is that it is a hyper or hypo version of a normal human biological imperative that we've learned as a society to try to ignore. And for some people, ignoring it is not really an option because it's so pronounced.
Yeah, and inescapable.
Yeah.
So there are basically four things. And like I said, if you feel like, oh man, I kind of feel those things in the winter too, listen to these four things, because this is when you should see a medical professional. As if, one, if these feelings persist for days and days in a row, it's not like, oh, I just had a couple of rough days when it was like really rainy and cold. If your sleep and appetite patterns like really change is the second one. If you're coping with drugs and alcohol, that's a big red flag. And then the fourth one, if you feel hopeless or suicidal, for sure. And I think as far as diagnosis goes, you have to, I think it has to be for at least 2 years in a row, even though you did say you don't necessarily have it all years. You at least have to have it 2 years in a row at some point.
Yeah. And because it is essentially, if you look at the winter SAD and summer SAD, they're basically two ends of a spectrum.
Yeah.
Mania and depression. Like people with bipolar 2 are definitely more susceptible to SAD. And they might experience both types of seasonal, although, again, just statistically speaking, they're much more likely to just experience the winter SAD.
Yeah, for sure. And if you do see a professional, they're probably going to ask you a lot of questions. You might even fill out an official questionnaire. There's no like blood test or brain scan or anything like other types of depression. That's the case as well. But they might rule things out. They might do like a thyroid screening or, some other things just to make sure it's not something like physical going on.
Right. So that's sad, everybody. And I think we should talk about where this whole thing comes from, they think, after a break. Chuck, our first break of 2026. Let's make it a big one.
You still got it. You still got it.
All right.
Lately I've been learning some stuff about insomnia or alumnia. How about the one on borderline disorder? Better yet, birth order. Heard that one before, but it was so nice. I learned it twice. Everybody listen up. Oh, it's Charles and Joshua. It's stuff you should know.
I turned off news altogether.
I hate to say it, but I don't trust much of anything.
It's the rage bait.
It feels like it's trying to divide people.
If we got clear facts, maybe we can calm down a little.
NBC News brings you clear reporting. Let's meet at the facts. Let's move forward from there. NBC News, reporting for America.
Mom, can I have Lingo Kids? Dad, Lingo Kids, please!
When did we become the Lingo Kids house?
No idea. Last week it was dinosaurs. This week it's...
Lingo Kids!
Why Lingo Kids?
Because it's the best thing ever. We can play games with astronauts, wild animals, and superheroes.
With more than 4,000 interactive games, songs, and shows, Lingo Kids is the #1 entertainment platform for young kids.
So, no dinosaurs?
And dinosaurs! Lingo Kids!
Everything kids love. Download it for free.
Professional wrestling fans, the action continues every week.
This is total nonstop action!
TNA Thursday Night Impact every week on AMC. For showtimes and more information, visit TNAWrestling.com.
This is SYS Kiss.
All right, so kind of like we were talking, it's kind of hard to diagnose this as far as when you should go to a doctor because a lot of people are just like this in the winter, and you're also sort of fighting. I think you kind of hinted at it, like a natural human intuition in a lot of ways. Because if you go back in time to the time where Tuk Tuk was roaming the earth in the winter, they slowed down and they conserved energy because food wasn't around and it was cold. So they bunkered down, and there are some interesting theories around that, right?
Yeah, they think it's possible that Neanderthals had like a real type of hibernation period in the winter. Not, like a bear necessarily, but something more pronounced than humans, and that interbreeding with Neanderthals may have produced seasonal affective disorder in some people. It's pretty
like
cool.
When Homo sapiens started hugging and kissing Neanderthals?
That's right. Like in, what was it? Quest for Fire.
Oh, man. There was some real realizations in that movie.
It was what an interesting movie, though,
Yeah. Ron Perlman.
Yeah. He's a good caveman.
By the way, a minute ago, did I say bunkered down?
Mm-hmm.
I meant to say hunkered down. Is bunkered down even a thing?
I feel like it should be more than hunkered down. It makes more sense.
Okay.
I didn't even know. I heard you and I grasped that you said bunkered down,
right? But
it's so natural that it didn't even seem wrong.
Yeah, and our Georgia Bulldogs, what they say for them is hunker down, you hairy dogs. I'm going to start saying bunker down, and everyone's just going to think I'm like a CIA plant or something.
Right. A narc.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't talk about the dogs right now.
I know. Very disappointing.
What a heartbreaker.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said something like that people back in Tuk Tuk's age definitely slow down in the wintertime, right? Or your body just changes. And that's still the case with humans. We have not evolved out of that. And there's been studies. There was a 2015 study that found that the Tsimane in Bolivia and the San people in Namibia, who are in no way, shape, or form related, one's in South America, one's in Africa, they both sleep longer in the winter and less in the summer. And you might say, like, well, duh, we all do that. That's exactly the point. There's some sort of biological mechanism. There's some sort of, like I said, imperative where you, without conscious thought and kind of without a choice, you slow down in the wintertime and you speed up more in the summertime. That's just what our bodies do. And because of this natural thing, it can go haywire, just like any other natural thing in humans. And when it does, that produces seasonal affective disorder. And they think they've got the mechanism to the whole thing down.
Yeah, and that's kind of evidence in this German study from 2023. They did a study, and caveat all this was, it was a study already of people that had sleeping issues with disturbed sleeping patterns.
Right.
So it was kind of, it wasn't just the general population. And interestingly, they found that even if they were living in a place where it was mostly artificial light, even then, by season, their sleep cycles would vary. So it's not just like, if you live out away from all the, out in the boonies, away from industrialization, and your circadian rhythms are really dictated by natural light, that would make sense. But they found that took place even when you were just living a regular, well-lit life.
Yeah, even when you lived in a windowless, brutalist apartment in Munich.
That's right.
You wear a black turtleneck all year round.
Oh, man.
And then another kind of thing, like you said, that was a small study, and it was of people who already had a sleep disorder, yet it backs up what everybody kind of anecdotally already knows, right? You sleep more in the season, or you're more tired in the winter season. Another thing that's anecdotal but is backed up by study is that your appetite changes, right?
Yeah.
Some of it's cultural, where, like, Christmas cookies are around.
Sure.
You're going to eat them.
Oh, yeah.
And Christmas cookies aren't around in March, say. Maybe some maniac makes, like, St. Patrick's Day cookies, but way more people make Christmas cookies than St. Patrick's Day cookies. So there are reasons that your appetite does increase, just because there's more delicious stuff around. But we've also found that just by being in colder temperatures, being exposed to colder temperatures over periods of time, hormone levels change in our bodies, and we crave more calories because as we digest them, we produce more heat, and that keeps us warm. We don't need bear skins anymore.
Yeah, that's right. We need Buckeye balls. And Emily's aunt comes to town every Christmas now, and all the her mom and her aunt and her sister and Ruby, they all have a night making Christmas cookies.
Nice.
Oh, dude, I did better this year than usual. I somehow managed to only put on 5 pounds.
Hey, that's not bad for a Christmas season.
From Thanksgiving to January 4th.
Yeah, that's great.
That's not bad, because usually that number is more like 12. So, and I found that temporary sort of gain goes off a little quicker too.
Yeah, it certainly
once you get back to reason,
Yeah, that's the key, is getting back to reason faster than, just not putting it off for the rest of the month of January. That's what I found.
And the Buckeye balls are gone, and those old fashions really slow down after Christmas.
Man, those Buckeye balls.
Oh, God.
I made my mom's Christmas cookies, my mom's recipe, the one that I grew up with as a kid, that had confounded me for years because I couldn't get it quite right. It was always too floury.
Oh, okay.
And in the last few years, I've learned enough about baking that I kind of figured it out on my own, and I nailed it finally.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I got to have some of those.
I'll make you some.
Next Christmas, though.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah,
not St. Patrick's Day, maybe.
Don't do it.
But you got me these cookie cutters that are all like kind of, they're like sentimental between us, like different shapes.
Oh,
and
that's nice.
One of them is broccoli. So I have broccoli shaped cookie cutters, and I hate broccoli. So it's hilarious.
I love that. That's fun.
Yeah. I don't have any. Oh yeah, we were talking about how appetite changes.
That's right. Here is one thing though. You might think you've probably heard that, like, suicides spike around the holidays because it can be such a tough time of the year for people. That is actually not true. In fact, they happen the least in December. They're more common in the summertime. Of course, in Australia, that's reversed because of where they are and how their seasons run. So we're talking about our hemisphere's perspective, obviously.
Right.
But I found that interesting, and it's good to correct the record because I think everyone always hears that. It's probably good in a way because it's anytime you're raising awareness on something like that, that's a good thing. But that's not true that they spike over the holidays.
No, I feel like we've talked about that before, and they think that maybe like just by people reaching out more during the holidays, you have a greater social calendar typically. Just the holiday spirit can get to people. But then also there's some other explanations for why it might be more common in the spring or summer months. Like you might just have more energy to actually complete suicide.
Right.
Another one that I thought was just horrible is that there are autoimmune conditions like lupus or rheumatoid arthritis that are linked to seasonal allergies. And that people who have those are this overlooked population of people with a higher suicide risk, and that would account for it because your lupus is probably flaring up way more in the spring and summer than it is in the winter months.
Yeah, for sure. And, we've kind of hinted around about the length of day, and we're going to talk a lot about that over the next little bit. But it is, it's intuitive and it's correct that the more intense that seasonal change is as far as that length of day goes, the more likely you're going to have SAD. There was I believe it was a meta-analysis from South Korea just last year in 2025. They studied 24 studies with 30,000 total participants, so pretty robust.
Yeah.
And for each 1 degree of increase in latitude, SAD rose by 0.2%, and the just the winter blues by 0.32%. So 1 degree increase in latitude is obviously a little less daylight.
It's like Jimmy Buffett said, changes in latitude, changes in attitude.
Man. Never thought about that.
That's what he was talking about with seasonal affective disorder in that song.
Yeah, he changed the title, though, because, when you title things like Cheeseburger in Paradise, you can't title something seasonal affective disorder.
Well, it was originally, the song was titled Major Depressive Disorder with a Seasonal Pattern.
Right.
So, yeah, I think he was wise to change it as well. So let's talk about it. You want to get into some of the causes? I've been teasing this basically the entire episode, and I'm really kind of jazzed about this part.
Yeah, I mean, here's where it gets sciencey, because our old friends, obviously serotonin and melatonin show up, right?
Yes. So just as a refresher, serotonin is responsible for things like mood, sleep, cognition, a bunch of other stuff. But as far as seasonal affective disorder goes, those are the important things that serotonin does, right?
Yeah.
What's really cool, I didn't actually realize this, sunlight hitting your retina actually triggers production of serotonin. It increases the production of serotonin, right? So therefore, when we're exposed to less sunlight, there's a lower angle of the sun, you just don't get as much sun physically in the winter months. That means that your serotonin levels are actually less in winter than they are in the brighter spring and summer months. That's just a fact. It happens to everybody. But in most people, your serotonin transporter gene starts producing less serotonin transporter, the stuff that goes in and gets the serotonin out of the synapse, right?
That's right.
Which means that there's less serotonin, but there's also less transporters removing the serotonin that's there. So you keep about the same level of, say, mood that you would have in the summer months because your body is adjusting. What they found, just amazingly, is that there are two things that are screwed up with the serotonin and the serotonin transporter that seem to be one of the major causes of seasonal affective disorder.
So spill it. You're on a roll.
Okay. So people who get seasonal affective disorder, they have enough serotonin all year to keep them from being depressed, right? But just like everybody else, when they are exposed to less light, their serotonin goes down. But the thing that seems to give them seasonal affective disorder is that their serotonin transporters don't also go down.
Right.
So like everybody else, they have lower serotonin during the winter, but they have the same amount of serotonin transporters. So there's less serotonin, and proportionately speaking, there's more serotonin transporters removing the serotonin, keeping it from working, which pushes them from non-depressed to depressive symptoms, all because they're exposed to less light during the winter time.
Yeah. And, I mentioned women have it 4 times as often as men do, and it was tied to estrogen. And it looks like variations in estrogen levels can interact with those changes in serotonin and basically make it worse. And that probably is the explanation why women get it more.
Mm-hmm.
And perimenopause and menopause affect all that as well, which are that's an episode we need to do for sure.
Yeah.
And also there, we mentioned there's a genetic element, right? So it looks like that people, this is generally speaking, who have at least one short allele in that serotonin transporter gene promoter region. I know that's a lot of words, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
The TLDL is too long didn't listen. Is that right?
Yeah, nice.
Is that there's a genetic component. So if you have that short allele, you're going to be more vulnerable to developing just regular depression, to any kind of life events or stresses like that, or just depression, period.
Mm-hmm.
But that short allele is also associated with those higher SERT levels, the SERT levels in the winter, and that's where your increased level of SAD is going to come on.
Yeah. So that's serotonin. That's a big, big factor in producing seasonal affective disorder, as well as just any kind of major depression, right?
Yeah. So melatonin is next, and that, just kind of broadly speaking, as far as we're concerned, is the one that, kind of makes you sleepy.
Yeah, which, it can make you sleepy, it can make you lethargic, it can make you not want to go out, and all of this stuff. Remember, there's a positive feedback loop here with the depressive symptoms that come on with seasonal affective disorder, the behavior they produce feeding back into becoming more and more depressed. Yeah. Melatonin keeps you from wanting to do stuff because that's the way our bodies are set up to respond during the winter. And it all has to do with the circadian rhythm, which, as everybody knows, most people know, governs your sleep and wake cycle, right?
Yeah.
It also has to do with digestion. It has to do with body temperature and all sorts of other hormones. I didn't know this, but apparently it has to do with the release of cortisol, which we think of cortisol typically as a stress hormone, full stop. Right. And it is, but it also is a hormone that causes us to do more stuff, to produce more energy. So when the circadian rhythm is not quite functioning correctly, it doesn't just make us sleepy, it actually makes us less energetic as well. And the whole circadian rhythm is controlled by a little part of the hypothalamus called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, or the SCN.
Nice work on that one.
I've practiced a couple of times.
Yeah, the SCN, and this is where we can throw a little German in there, it relies on Zeitgebers, or time givers. And these are just clues from the world around us telling you, what's going on. And mainly what we're talking about here is light. Sunlight, again, hitting those retinas. It travels to the SCN, and then that signals the pineal gland to release or produce that melatonin. So the more light you have, the less melatonin you have. That's why, you're not supposed to be looking at your cell phone or avoid really bright lights before you try and get some sleep.
Mm-hmm.
But the TLDL here is, it just means our bodies make more melatonin in the wintertime than the summertime. So you're going to be sleeping longer and probably a little more lethargic.
Yeah, exactly. So serotonin plus melatonin being messed with, it happens to everybody, but most people's bodies respond in a way that regulates it and keeps it from becoming depression. Some people do not have that same way to regulate it, and that's who has seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah, and I thought this is really interesting. So it's, we just said that if you experience SAD, then you're going to have a greater than average increase in melatonin in the winter than your average person.
Mm-hmm.
But this is really interesting. We talked about sunlight coming through your retinas, and that's the pathway that it initially travels.
Right.
Maybe a little on your skin, but mainly through your retinas. They found that your retinas actually react less to light in the winter compared to the summer.
Mm-hmm. You're right, Chuck. That is really interesting.
Thank you, Josh. And I guess before we break, we should talk about the third little thing after serotonin and melatonin, which are social and environmental factors. If you have SAD, when fall rolls around, you start to get that dread. You're going to have a negative emotional response to winter. it's not the cause of it, but that's part of that feedback loop that you were talking about. You're like, oh man, the days are going to get shorter. If you live in the Pacific Northwest or other places where it rains a lot and it's just more gray days that time of year, you start to have that dread, and that just feeds everything.
Yep. Yeah. It just makes it worse. And then, the whole thing is that feedback loop. Chuck, I'm going to do it again. I think we should take a message break.
All right. We'll finish up with sad right after this.
Lately I've been learning some stuff about insomnia or alumnia. How about the one on borderline disorder? Better yet, birth order. Heard that one before, but it was so nice. I learned it twice. Everybody listen up. Oh, it's Charles and Joshua. It's stuff. You should know.
I turned off news altogether.
I hate to say it, but I don't trust much of anything.
It's the rage bait.
It feels like it's trying to divide people.
If we got clear facts, maybe we can calm down a little.
NBC News brings you clear reporting. Let's meet at the facts. Let's move forward from there. NBC News, reporting for America.
With my mom and dad living in Orange County, when we bring my 5 and 7-year-old to visit, we are sometimes in for a 2-hour drive that could feel like 10.
Oh, as an avid camper, I know all about this. We'll pack up the RV and know this is either going to be the trip of a lifetime or a complete disaster.
Which is why we load up the iPads with Lingo Kids before we even pull out of the driveway.
It's what dreams are made of. Lingo Kids keeps kids engaged and quiet with over 4,000 interactive games, songs, and shows that kids simply cannot get enough of.
You can pack whatever you think you'll need, but Lingo Kids is the only entertainment you'll need for a stress-free car ride.
Or really, any ride. Plane, train, hovercraft, whatever.
Download Lingo Kids for free today.
Or unlock even more amazing content with Lingo Kids Plus.
Choose the yearly plan and save up to 60%. Search Lingo Kids in the App Store or Google Play.
Lingo Kids, everything kids love.
Professional wrestling fans, the action continues every week.
This is total nonstop action.
TNA Thursday Night Impact every week on AMC. For showtimes and more information, visit TNAWrestling.com.
This is SYSK.
All right. So we talked several times about SAD being a form of major depression, which means that it is highly treatable, actually, thanks to our friend, the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, SSRI, or antidepressants. Apparently, Wellbutrin works really well to treat SAD, but basically any SSRI is going to work. One thing that stuck out to me, I believe that if you have seasonal affective disorder, but you don't have bipolar, you don't have major depressive disorder, it's just seasonal. I guess they suggest that you take SSRIs, you ramp up in, say, like the fall before it becomes winter, and then you wean off as springtime comes around. So they would have you on SSRIs, but not year round, because you wouldn't need them year round. I thought that was fascinating, because that can be risky. If you don't do it right, it can be really risky.
Yeah, and one of the things after that they suggest with all of these treatments is that you start before it hits, like, and depending on where you live, like when fall starts rolling around, maybe you start some of these therapies to see if you can head it off at the pass, like in the Old West.
Yeah.
But CBT is another thing that they suggest. Like all cognitive behavioral therapy, it's basically trying to get you to change the way you're thinking about a thing.
Right.
It might be a group therapy a couple of times a week over a couple of months, maybe. But specifically in this case, it's like let's try and get those negative thoughts about the upcoming season or the season that is upon you with positive ones, and maybe do things like, hey, I know this is a thing for me. So I'm gonna plan some things specifically for this winter that I know that I will enjoy.
Yeah, like CBT seeks to break that feedback loop up.
Right.
So at least you're not getting worse and worse because of all the cascading effects it has.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the other ones, like as that 1984 study right off the bat, identified a really great treatment for seasonal affective disorder that's non-pharmaceutical, that you can do at home. As a matter of fact, you can do it at the library. I saw that the libraries in Northern Ireland rent out light boxes. It's called bright light therapy. Uses very intense white light. Don't worry, there's a protective UV cover, so you're not blasting your face. You're not going to get a tan from it, essentially. But your retinas are going to pick up on that white light, and so serotonin is going to increase. Your melatonin is going to not be so high, and it can actually treat especially moderate forms of seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah, for sure. The idea is you put this light on, you don't just sit there and stare at it. You just kind of maybe do it in the morning, 15 minutes to an hour, maybe 45 minutes or so, cast it upon your face. This goes, is that funny?
Yeah.
This goes all the way back actually to the 1700s. There was an Italian physician named Vincenzo Chiararughi who way back then said, hey, if you're depressed, I think sunlight would help. So it's been a thing for a long time, but now, obviously they still say get out in the sun if you can, but in a lot of places where there's limited light in the winter or just gray days like we were talking about, this is where the BLT, that bright light therapy, comes in play. I saw they also make little hats, little visors.
Oh, yeah?
That just shine down on your face at all times.
Nice. Like Collective Soul said.
Yeah. I don't think you're supposed to. I think it's supposed to be limited still, though. You're not supposed to have that light on you at all times because it can disrupt your sleep and cause eye strain and fatigue and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to overdo it for sure. And I think it's different for each person how much you actually need. But it does work. I know firsthand it works because Yumi used to get what I guess you would call subsyndromal seasonal affective disorder. She definitely didn't have major depression, but it was like she was impacted noticeably, and she found out about light boxes and got one, and it helped her a lot.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I have friends that use these things just for, not even seasonal, just for, regular depression, and they say it helps them out. Dawn stimulation is another thing, and it's kind of the same idea, but it's like one of those alarm clocks that slowly starts brightening your room over the course of like 30 minutes or so as you're waking up.
Yeah.
So again, tied into the circadian rhythm of rising with the sun's rise.
Do you remember that alarm clock from the 70s and 80s that like it would light up? It had a picture of like, I think like a fence out in the Old West.
No.
And the sky would go like dark blue. It would like it would change the color of the sky on the alarm clock picture, depending on what time of day it was. You don't remember those?
No, I don't think I've ever seen those.
They were amazing. My oldest sister had one of those. I would love one. Cool. I don't know what happened to that. It probably broke.
Yeah, my brother had one of those clocks, the alarm clocks that had like a Rolodex. It would flip the numbers around like mechanically.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, those were fun.
Yeah, the one I always had was like the kind.
Oh, man. No. Really?
Yeah, when I was a teenager, that's what I needed.
Or the two bells with the hammer.
I had one of those too.
Oh, man.
There was a period where I had the one that went wouldn't do it, so I had to switch over to the two bells one.
Oh, God. Have you always had a hard time waking up like that?
Yeah. Have I don't anymore, but yes,
Right.
I used to when I was a teenager.
Well, because I get emails from you at like 5:30 in the morning. Like, what the hell are you doing? Are you farming?
I've seen, I'm milking the cows and emailing at the same time sometimes. I have decided that getting up at 5 is way too early for me. So
good.
I'm doing 6 now.
Hey, that's reasonable.
It is 7 sometimes if I'm feeling frisky.
You had a really late night the night before?
Yeah, I went to bed at 10.
We should mention vitamin D, speaking of cows, because vitamin D deficiency does correlate with more likelihood of having or developing SAD, but they haven't found any like good, hard, consistent evidence that vitamin D supplements can help a lot.
There's one place, remember you said that high latitudes, the higher the latitude, the more negative the attitude. the likelier you are to have seasonal affective disorder. That does not hold true, at least in some parts, some of the most extremely northern parts of the world. In particular, there's a town called Tromsø, Norway, that is very northern. It might be the most northernmost city in Norway. It's really high up there. Suffice to say that they are absent from sunlight, I think 2 full months out of the year.
Oh, man.
Like nothing like the sun comes out. I mean, I think it might get as much as it would get like before sunrise on a normal day. Mm-hmm. And they go like that for 2 months. And yet the rates of seasonal affective disorder are much less in Tromsø than you would expect.
Yeah, it seems to be, because they've done just sort of studies and questionnaires, and people there agree with statements like, I love the coziness of the winter months. Winter brings many wonderful seasonal changes. Mm-hmm. They don't agree with winter is boring, when winter is limiting. So it seems to really be a lot about the attitude. And, you know, I think if you live there, a lot of people probably don't just move there. It seems to be a place where you're usually from. Or maybe people do move to one of the most northernmost cities in the world. I'm sure it happens. Mm-hmm. But generally, if you have grown up in a place and that's the thing, everyone knows that's the thing. And so there are probably many, many events and traditions and activities that they do to thwart that. And it seems to work because they get into their skiing, they get into their winter hiking, they get into their cozy drinks and their warm blankets and their fireplaces. And it seems to be that they look forward to that stuff. And it bears out by them not having a prevalence of SAD there. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and some people point to that as evidence. They say that there's no such thing as SAD. That just does not make sense. If SAD is this response to a biological imperative that happens every year among people who are maladjusted for that imperative, then that just should not be the way in Tromsø. And there was actually a study from 2016 from researchers at Auburn, Montgomery, the University of Auburn in Montgomery, and they studied CDC data, and they found no seasonal variations in depression symptoms. And it was a massive population that they studied. And I mean, if there is such a thing as seasonal affective disorder, then there should be an increase in the winter months, and they didn't find it. That does not seem to be the consensus among the scientific community. As a matter of fact, I went to go click on the link in this Scientific American article that we were checking out.
And it exploded.
It was gone. It couldn't find it.
Oh, wow.
So it made me wonder if they quietly retracted it, or maybe it's just a broken link. You never can tell. But for the most part, if you look up seasonal affective disorder, every reliable website in America, like Johns Hopkins or Harvard Health or Cleveland Clinic, Mayo Clinic, I could keep going. Yeah. They're all in on seasonal affective disorder.
I'm picturing just like a couple of scientists in a ditch being shoveled over with lime.
Right. So just one thing before we stop. It has nothing to do with Norway really, but it reminded me. I saw there's a good true crime, I don't know if it's a docudrama, but it's based on real life, and it's Danish. It's called The Investigation. It's so mellow.
The Investigation. I love those. I love stories set in those parts of the world. I love Danish filmmaking and Norwegian filmmaking.
Mm-hmm. You'll love this. It's like there's at least one episode where almost the entire time nothing happens, and they just show nothing happening. But it's really good. It's really engrossing. So I would recommend it.
Awesome.
Chuck said awesome. That means he just triggered the first listener mail of 2026, everybody.
That's right. This is from Megan in Michigan. Hey guys, thank you for the many years of engaging and interesting content. I first started listening in 2012 when I moved out of my home state and would download episodes onto CDs.
Nice.
Wow.
That is, wow, I feel old.
Well, this will make you feel old too. To pass the time on the long drives in my old Cavalier.
Wow.
They don't still make the Cavalier, do they?
I don't believe so, no. I think they buried them with those Auburn, Montgomery researchers.
Well, 2012, I'm surprised she wasn't in a Camry. I just listened to your dolls episode, guys. I had to write in. I have 3 kids, and they have at times acted out scenarios with dolls and toys that would have been very disturbing if I had not been prepared that it was very normal and healthy, actually. The most recent example is when my 5-year-old came into the house and told me that he and his 3-year-old sister had made gravestones in the backyard because their twin baby dolls had died.
Oh, my.
Even knowing it's normal, I do have to take a deep breath and remind myself that part of raising emotionally healthy kids is letting them process through play. Still, I was a bit relieved. The next day, they threw a big party for the baby's first birthday. So she skips out the part where they dug them up they exhumed them from the grave. Thanks again for bringing so many topics and perspectives to light while somehow keeping things humorous and upbeat. Looking forward to learning more in 2026. That is Megan in Michigan.
Nice, Megan. Thank you for that. That was a great email. And God bless your kids for being awesome.
For sure.
If you want to be like Megan and tell us about your awesome kids, we love that kind of thing. You can send it off to stuffpodcast@iheartradio.com.
Stuff You Should Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.
When you're a maintenance engineer in a beverage manufacturing plant, you keep production lines moving and quality on track because there's no room for slowdowns. With Grainger's vast selection of high-quality motors, sensors, belts, and hard-to-find parts, you can get what you need fast and all in one place, so nothing gets in the way of getting the job done. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
T-Mobile has the best plan on the best network. Just ask Kevin Bacon.
Today, business happens virtually everywhere. That's why you need Supermobile from T-Mobile. The best plan on the best network, letting you run your business from your phone like never before. In moments of high demand, T-Mobile's network adapts to put your business connection first.
Discover more at supermobile.com.
Best business plan based on combination of advanced network performance, coverage layers, and security features. Best network based on analysis by Ookla Speed Test Intelligence Data 1H 2025. Ookla trademarks used under license and reprinted with permission.
When Kohler, global design leader in luxurious kitchen and bath products, asked me to be their ambassador for timeless, elegant, durable cast iron, I said, I'm in. Soon after, I was in their Kohler, Wisconsin foundry, watching molten iron poured, enamel applied by hand, and the beautiful finished pieces ready to ship. Since 1883, Kohler cast iron has been crafted by incredible artisans, and seeing it firsthand gave me a whole new appreciation for their craftsmanship. Now, I'm proud to lend my stamp of approval to my favorite Kohler cast iron products for their durability, beauty, and enduring style. Shop my curated picks at Kohler.com. As the Kohler cast iron ambassador, I say, long live cast iron.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.